So, welcome to Every Day's a Holiday. And you guys know I'm all about the deal. And I want to travel, I want to see things, but I also don't want to spend a lot of money. And for those of you that have families, let me tell you, you can do Europe and you can do it on a budget. One of the ways that I like to do Europe is on a hop-on, hop-off bus. So there's only one way to be able to see lots of places in Europe without having to spend hundreds of dollars per person just to go and see some of the sites. I mean, a lot of the sites do have entry fees. However, sometimes you want to pick and choose and you don't really know what you want to see sometimes until you get there. And then if you're short on time, I mean, you add that in, it's a lot. So today I'm going to talk to you about utilizing the hop-on, hop-off buses and why you should do that for Europe. So I want to tell you, skip the pricey excursions that take you to individual places or that might take you through just, small portions of the town. The hop-on, hop-off bus gives you a great view of the town because you can go sit up on the top level. And it's also weatherproof, right? So they actually usually have a something that kind of slides forward that will cover you in the rain. There's also a bottom portion of the bus that is enclosed, and it's also handicap accessible. So in Malaga and Cartagena and other places in Spain especially is really friendly for people that have mobility issues. And so this is a great way to bring your loved ones that might be in a wheelchair, that might have a walker, to bring them to see Europe. And it's only going to cost you, typically you can get a 24-hour pass for about $25 a day, or maybe a 48-hour pass for about $50. They do have certain upgrades available that might add $10 to $20 onto your price of the hop-on, hop-off bus. However, the great news is that it usually includes discounts to restaurants, some of the sites that are available to visit. It offers you discounted tickets to go see them, things that you're not gonna get if you went and booked these things individually. So let's get into it. So not only can you get some of your entry fees reduced, but you can also add on boat rides for like 10 to 15 euro. And when I'm talking prices for Europe, I'm talking euro. So if you hear me say dollar, that's not what I mean. I mean euro. So the euros, you can go do boat rides, and some of them even have like flamenco shows that are included. The difference in the price is nominal compared to what you would pay if you actually went to the place and just bought your own tickets. You will also get entry into museums, aquariums. Saving you 10, 15, sometimes 20% off, and other times it's just included in the ticket price. And that's great, and it's gonna save you lots of money. The great thing about hop-on, hop-off buses is that it gives you the ability to tour the city. And in Europe, the European cities are not like cities in the US. Like, you're gonna see buildings that were built in like the 1400s, the 1500s, from the Moors, the Romans. Like, you're gonna see some of these landmarks still exist today in the midst of the city. So on one block, you'll see a modern building, and on the next block, you're gonna see something that could be historical. And the other great thing about doing the hop-on, hop-off bus tour is that usually they have multiple lines, and usually one line will take you through a lot of the city. But don't be surprised if you end up kind of going up the hill and kind of going through the mountains and just seeing like completely different scenery, going to the top of the city and being able to look down. And that's just a wonderful experience. When you go to Europe and you take these hop-on, hop-off buses, it will take you through. So you'll see parks, you'll see museums, you'll see castles, you'll have shopping, you'll have beaches, you'll have other historic buildings and monuments. And it's just an architectural dream to just ride that bus through Europe and to be able to see it from a higher level than you would if you were walking. So hop-on, hop-off buses give you a definite view that you would not get. And then you can get off at whatever stop that you want to. So they usually have this trusty map that you'll get that allows you to see the different stops. Sometimes they'll have like a map of the city that's included with that. and other maps may be attached. So definitely make sure that if you do decide to do the hop on hop off bus, that you do get a copy of the brochure that they have. And if you haven't yet committed to hop on hop off bus, if you see the buses, usually they're red city buses, not city buses, but red buses, or you might see a blue one with pink lettering on it. When you see those buses or you see someone outside asking for a map, and that may help make sure you understand what the stops are, etc. And so you can also it helps you to get around the city. You can get the hop on hop off bus passes from Viator.com, but I noticed that in Spain, not everything was on Viator. And so it was www.city-sightseeing.com is another site where a lot of the other ones that weren't on Viator were actually there. And I like to purchase my tickets in advance. You can wait if you're unsure and purchase it when you get there. So before I forget, a couple of other things that you're going to be able to see or to places that you can visit on the hop on hop off bus tour are the central markets. So every pretty much town, it seems like in Europe, has some kind of central market. And the central markets are great places to visit because they typically have like wines and cheeses and breads and other types of food and fresh fruit and juices and anything you can imagine that is there. I mean, fresh seafood, everything is in these central markets, and it's a great experience. And oftentimes the food is at better pricing than it would be. One tip is to go early though, because a lot of those markets close a little earlier, or if you go later, a lot of the stalls are going to be closed. The other thing that you're going to see is that there's going to be lots and lots of modern buildings mixed in with the old. So I mentioned a little bit of that earlier, but it's kind of cool that you'll go through like maybe one neighborhood that's a little more modern, and a couple blocks down the street, you're going to see like some great basilica or something that's going to be there for you to see. And the hop on hop off bus takes you through lots of different communities. And so it's just a great experience to get the flavor of the city, to see where you want to go. And again, there's usually a more scenic route that they have that might take you a little further out. So I like to take both lines. So usually there's like red and blue, or there might be a green, things of that nature. But basically they have a lot of different stops and you can connect. So we usually plan, we mean Daddy and I, usually plan to go visit, like for a day, we literally hop on and hop off the bus. And most times we hop on and do the full loops around, and then we'll decide where we want to get off at and then kind of do that. And that's a great way to travel through the city. Usually wait times are about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on the location, depending on the time of year that you go. So understand, if you travel to Europe in the summertime, there's going to be lines. There's going to be lots and lots and lots of people. And then also, if you have a cruise ship that is at port, those lines will be longer. And I just had that experience. I've typically not waited a long time or had to like wait for the next bus on all of the hop on hop off bus tours that I've done across Europe. But for some reason, this time I cruised in Europe, which is not how I typically would travel to Europe. But it was a great way to see the sights. And for just being somewhere for a day, you can't beat just hopping on and hopping off the bus. And then we found a restaurant on TripAdvisor that we wanted to see. And then we jumped off, and then we went to some of the restaurants in the different locations that we wanted. So with that, I would say peak season, I do not travel to Europe in July through July and August. That's just my own personal preference. If you have kids, sometimes it's not an option, but understand there's Europeans on vacation, there's Americans on vacation, there's Aussies on vacation, there's like the British are on vacation. Like everybody is coming to Europe. And so it's a lot for the summertime. So my suggestion to get the most out of your hop on hop off bus tour is to go in the off-peak season. And if you can't, it's still fine, but just understand you might have to wait a little bit longer for the bus. So with the wonderful things that I do love about the hop on bus tour, the one thing that there's a few things that I think you need to kind of prepare yourself for. So I'm not here just to tell you like the great things. Like I really enjoy the hop on hop off bus, and the good really outweighs the bad. but there's a couple of things that you should know so that you don't go in expecting like everything to be perfect and communications to be great, because there's a few things that you should be aware of. And I experienced this myself, and I always say pack your patience because you're going to need it, but you really do. And kindness goes a long way, and it saves you from getting upset. So here's a couple of things that you can expect when you go to Europe and you get on the hop on, hop off bus. So understand that sometimes the website may not be as informative as you would like. And I noticed in different cities, it was easier to get to some of the initial stops to, just get on the bus. Typically, you can hop on any of the stops. It is more modern. They basically have a machine and they scan your ticket if you have it, or you can pay on the spot. I prefer just to have them scan my information and give me the little paper ticket. But the thing that you want to remember is that sometimes that first stop is not as clearly communicated, let's say, as you would like. And we ran into that in a couple of the cities that we visited in Spain. And that wasn't the case on a lot of the other ones, but the website sometimes do have the maps, but sometimes the maps seem to, like you'll hit on the red map, you might get blue. So there's still a couple of little quirks there. But what I found is that if you Google like the initial location, eventually you'll find out where that initial location is, or you'll see the buses going around town the signs that show you where the bus is. For the cruise ports, if you do cruise and try to do hop on and hop off buses, I did find that there was always kind of close to the cruise line, about maybe a 5 or 10 minute walk maximum. There was always a stop that was really close by the cruise port. So that was a plus. But I did find when I wasn't staying at a cruise and Daddy and I stayed in Barcelona for 5 days at a hotel, it was like, okay, where's the initial stop? Now, eventually we found it, and it was at the Plaza Central. It was there. So we were able to do that and find someone and be able to ask questions. But I'm used to, in some other countries, like you can actually just go onto the site, it tells you where the first stop was. And I just didn't find that it's easy in Spain. But once we got that together and understood the stops, we had the map, it was a great experience. We were able to do that. People were helpful. I will say that sometimes what we found in Spain is, and I can't say all of Spain, let me just say Barcelona. What we found in Barcelona was that, a bus would stop and you would think they were loading on people, and we'd be sitting there for about 5 minutes. And then the bus driver's like, okay, we need you to change buses. And we were like you couldn't tell us that like 5 minutes ago. Like, we waited and you decided now. So that was something that was interesting. And we were patient. We just like got off the bus, got on the next bus. There were no issues transitioning. But there's like little quirks like that really don't happen as much in other places. And so we had to understand that there are communication differences. And most of the guys, everyone really spoke English, so there was no issues in translation. I understand un poquito español, and so we were like, I know a little Spanish, like enough to get us by and be dangerous, but that's about it. And so we did still have a great time, but we definitely had to be cognizant that communication was a little different, especially in Barcelona, because that really wasn't the case in the other towns that we did the hop on, hop off bus. And just to put a plug out there, we really liked Malaga in Spain, and the hop on, hop off bus experience was easy. The lines were long at the cruise port. So I would say the biggest tip that I could give you, the best one, is to arrive early. So if you're going to do a hop on, hop off bus, try to get there extremely early. We got to the cruise thing, we got to the stop at the port, maybe about 10:30, and the line was like wrapped around a corner. If there is like really a corner, I'm going to say it was like 50 to 100 people deep, and they were still selling tickets, upstairs in the actual terminal. So definitely hop on, hop off buses. They are the way to go. It's a way for you to see, explore, get discounts, to look at things from the top level. So from the second story, the second deck of the bus, like you can't beat that. The view, the people, like everything that you get a chance to see, you just get to see it at a different level. You get to visit a lot of places. And typically the most we'll get is like a 48-hour pass. Some places, I think on Viator.com, might have a 72-hour pass, and that might work for some people. 48 hours for us is enough to kind of figure everything out. And then sometimes you might decide that you want to take an excursion out to the countryside or other places. But in Spain, I can tell you that from Barcelona, you can take a bus that goes to Montserrat. So the monastery there. So that is something that you can do. We didn't do it this time. We did it when we came to Barcelona a couple of years ago. So it's definitely something. Those buses are great. The hop on, hop off buses, you cannot beat the price. And if you're traveling with your family, you're not going to get a better price than that, right? Ubers, I want to tell you, in Barcelona were a little more expensive. So, $15, $20 just to go anywhere. It could have been 3 blocks and you were going to pay $15, $20. So definitely hop on, hop off buses are the way to go for your families. It allows you to see more. Take that boat ride, splurge, and it might even be just like €10 to add to do the bus tours if it's not already included in your ticket. And it's definitely something that you want to do so you can see things by land, and then you can also see it by sea. So please enjoy yourself. Get on the hop on, hop off bus tour. Put in the comments if you've had the ability to get on one, and tell me what you thought about it, what you liked, what you didn't like about it. And then if you just really, really don't want to do hop on, hop off, then I would just say make sure you have your shoes on, because you're going to do lots of walking. There's going to be hills. There's going to be places that are not really as accessible other than getting on that hop on, hop off bus. You're never going to find something that shows you as much of the city as that hop on, hop off bus tour will do. So thank you for joining us at Every Day's a Holiday 24/7. Pack your patience. Again, you are going to need it when you go to Europe because there are differences, but it's a wonderful place to visit. There's wonderful people and great food and lots of wonderful sights to see. Have a great day.